name is Fiona. I'm the Taubmans colour specialist, and we are here this evening to talk all things colour. So as we begin, I'll just run through how the sessions work. So for those that are joining us for the first time, you understand sort of what the layout is. So for the next half an hour, I will be on screen to answer all of your questions around colour, around any projects that you are embarking on, and certainly around products to help you protect and beautify your space with our fantastic portfolio of products available. And as we do so, for the next half an hour, I'll be on screen. And whilst I'm on screen, if I can please ask you to hold off uploading any images or photos of areas that you might like some help with colouring, because while we're live, unfortunately, you're not able to do so. But after we finish streaming, after half an hour, I'll be still sitting behind the computer to answer any further questions. And then that's an opportune time for you to send through photos, and I'll certainly be very happy to answer whatever I can and assist in any way. So that's how the sessions run. So this is our second last session for the year. So I thought I would sort of talk, because we're talking about exterior and we're talking about exterior colour, obviously. So I thought I'd run through a few different things tonight. And one thing I'm going to talk a little bit about is front doors. Believe it or not, I have been out and about in the field for probably for the last month, in quite a lot of stores, visiting a lot of different areas, etc. And I have been asked quite frequently about colours for front doors. So I thought I would begin the session with that. And then obviously as we're running through, answer any questions that pop up in our feed. But also then talk about other areas that we like to, or that we paint on the exterior of your dwelling, and then talk about the application of colour products, etc., just to gear you up ready for that holiday season so that we can have you adequately prepared. If I can get my words out, that would be fantastic. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to talk about front doors. So it's really, I guess, and I say this quite often, look, colour is very personal, and colour has the ability to evoke an emotion within. And, everybody sees colour so differently. So the way that I see colour, as opposed to perhaps, one of our viewers watching this tonight or somebody in store, is different. And so we've all got to be mindful of that. And we all, I guess you could say, gravitate towards certain colours for particular reasons. And I like to think also too that when you're colouring up your front door, it's almost a little bit like the window. We talk about our eyes being the window to our soul, and it's the same sort of thing when you're talking about the colour of your front door. It's kind of like the window to your home. It's the beginning. It sort of sets the scene, or it can set the scene. And the colour can actually say something about you if you really want to delve into the psychology of colour. So when we talk about painting our front door, it's very important. There are a few things. So I'm going to run through some practical advice before we start on colour. Now, if you're getting one of the a pre-primed front door and you're thinking, you know what, I can just paint that straight away, I'm going to myth bust something for you here. So a front door that is pre-primed still requires to be primed. Now, the reason being, generally front doors have been primed for transportation purposes. So I'm still going to recommend that you use a product like our 3-in-1, which is a primer sealer undercoat. And then you would use something like our Taubmans water-based enamel, and then that can go over the top. Now, it's really important when we're talking about a front door, it's not just the front and the back side. You want to do the 4 edges as well, and sort of that bottom edge and the top edge, because we want to stop moisture getting into the front door and we want to stop it from swelling. So there's a couple of things to consider there. Now, when you are choosing your front door colour, be very mindful of, if you're buying a new timber front door, some front doors do have a warranty. And what they're saying is that they would like to see a colour that has an LRV, which is your light reflectance value, of 50 or higher. So that when it sits at 50 and it starts going higher, it's going to become lighter. When it sits at 50 and it starts going darker, you're going into really dark, deep tones. And so the reason that they're giving you sort of that indicative number is so that you're going to avoid putting on a very dark colour that's going to then cause your front door to bend and warp. So that's just with your new front doors. Look, I know some people that have had an old front door, and some of them have painted their doors quite dark and they don't have problems, but you've just got to be mindful of if you've got a new front door and the warranties, and you also need to be mindful of how exposed to the elements your front door is. And I guess I'm really talking about how much sunlight it's going to get, because that's also going to affect whether it's going to warp and bend, etc. So there's a couple of things to consider there. And so you're probably wondering, where do I start when I'm looking for colour? Okay, so we have brought out recently, if you've been to your local hardware store and you've been to the colour wall, you can see this up here. This is our Taubmans Colour Together magazine. This is beautiful. And so what we do is, and you know what? Oh, hang on, I just thought I read something here. It's telling you how to paint an internal door. So there's a little bit of information there that you can sort of read through with information on this page here as well. But it's also giving you a beautiful selection of colours, somewhere to start from. And so I'm going to direct you all towards our fantastic, and I'm going to bring it up here, 2022 to 2024 colour forecast, which is titled Chromatic Joy. Now, you would have seen me, I'm bringing that up on our web quite frequently when we're doing these sessions. And I just want to show you, there are the most beautiful, happy, stunning colours. So you can see just the most gorgeous tones here. And then when we're going into, as I'm saying, some happy, beautiful colour. Look at these for colours, for somewhere to start. I just think they are divine. And I mean, I gravitate towards colours like Daybreak, and then obviously over here where you've got a beautiful colour that's called Everything's Going to Be Alright, and our Talk of Gold. There are just some stunning tones that have been designed to go with so many other colours. So this is where you start, and you have a really good look around throughout the books here, and it will also take you through some of the other beautiful white tones as well. So this is what I would recommend. Grab yourself this magazine and have a really good look. There's a lot of fantastic information in here, along with a world of beautiful colours that you can explore. So grab that. So the next thing that we've talked, as I mentioned, I'm talking about if you've got a front door and you're looking at colours that have to be an LRV of 50, I've broken it down. I've already had a look through our Chromatic Joy forecast. And so what I'm going to do is, let's hope this works. Awesome. I'm going to take you through, I've just drawn up a front door, just an image of a front door. Now, you just need to be mindful that the colours that we're going to see on the screen in a moment are indicative only. Depending on what screen you're looking at home, etc., will change what you see. So this is just to give you an idea. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to pop myself up in the corner. Yes, awesome. We are working. Okay, so just to take you through, so some of the fantastic colours, and I'll give you the LRV. So the first one we've got there is a colour called, I don't know whether we can see the mouse, if it comes on screen. Yep, awesome. On here we've got Clouds Flying with an LRV of 60. Then you've got Watchful Heart, which is the most beautiful tone, but it has an LRV of 50. And then you've got Everything Is Going to Be Alright with an LRV of 71. Let me just move up a little bit here. You've got Talk of Gold with an LRV of 60. Daybreak with an LRV of 59. Beautiful and Bright with an LRV of 50. And then last but not least, Soft Look in the corner there with an LRV of 59. Glad Grace here with an LRV of 55, and then I'm hoping I'm saying this right, Ithaca with an LRV of 63. So that's just to give you, and I might just bring those, make them a little bit smaller, just to give you an idea of where to start if you are bound by having, if they're stipulating that you have to have an LRV of 50 or higher. This is a great place to begin. So I've just given you some of the names, broken it down for you from our Taubmans Colour Together magazine with our Chromatic Joy range. Now, the other thing you can do, and I'll just come back on screen while I flip screens here. The other thing you can do is you can visit our website. And I'm going to share again, pop myself in the corner. So www.taubmans.com.au. And now this is a fabulous place also to begin when you are searching for colour. What makes it very easy is everything is grouped. You've got drop down menus, etc. So when I'm looking for colour, if I select paint colours, and then here, as you will see, and I show this every week, all of our colours have been grouped by colour family, if you like. So it makes it extremely easy to shop. Another thing that I want to show you as we go down the screen here to the bottom is where you can order colour swatches. Now, this is where you can search for an LRV of a colour. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So if we go down here, and we can see here everything, look, you've got your whites, neutrals, etc. But because I've just been talking about chromatic joy, I'm going to take you straight to that. So I'm going to select that. Oh, I love these colours. The colours just shown on this first page, if you like, are just beautiful. And I think fabulous colours if you're about to embark on a bedroom project. Have a look at these. I think you could create quite a beautiful sanctuary with these. So I'm going to go to the next page. Now you can see here, and I showed one of the first colours that I showed you was clouds flying. So I'm going to just go where it says to view colour details. And here we can see here it has an LRV of 60. So this is really good information if you are needing, as I said before, to have a colour that has an LRV of 50 or higher. This is how you can find that information. It's not only just on our chromatic joy colours, it's certainly throughout our whole colour library. So come here and have a look. I think you'll find what you need. Now the other thing, and I'll come back on screen quickly, the other thing that we talk about while we're talking about front doors is to ensure that we have the right product. That is, if you could say, oops, I've got some questions here which I will come to in a moment. Okay, sorry. All right, sorry, I'm reading questions and thinking, let me just focus back on this. So the other thing, when we are looking at selecting paint, obviously sheen level will, if you like, it can change the colour. And the reason being is that the light, if you like, reflects differently from different sheen levels. And that's why if you're using, if you've got a matte, if you've got, sorry, a render finish outside, you know, a matte finish or a matte sheen level looks fantastic. And then if we're back in the inside and we're talking about ceilings, etc., we use a flat so that it's going to prevent glancing light, etc. So you've got varying sheen levels for varying areas, if you like. So when we talk about front doors, here's my tip. I love to see a front door in a gloss finish, and I believe that a front door really intensifies the colour. So the easiest way to do this or to see this is if you're standing at the colour wall and you've selected a colour chip and you're deliberating over this, whether you want this sort of colour for your front door, etc., and you're wondering what will it look like in a gloss finish, get yourself a clear piece of sticky tape and pop it over sort of part of the colour chip. Make sure you rub it down quite well. And then once you move the colour chip around, you'll be able to see how the colour, I like to say, intensifies when you use a gloss finish. So here we go here. Can you see the difference there? I can see that, yeah. I can see that on the screen. So here's a straight out colour chip straight off the wall. This is just, you know, it'll be primarily a low sheen, and here you are, I'm showing you how it's going to look with a gloss finish. So you can really see how the colour intensifies, and I think it looks fantastic. So that's a very quick tip and very easy for anybody that is embarking on a paint project and you're wondering what it's going to look like in a gloss. So let me just see here. I do have a couple of questions. What have I got here? Okay, I think some of these questions here I've just got something coming through here. What have we got here? I might just park the question that I have here. Okay, so there's a good one there. So could you please explain why you discontinued the doors and trims? in neutral, please. I think that we have, if you're talking about Endure doors and trims, I guess you could say that we have taken the doors and trims off the market, if you like. Not that there's anything wrong with the product, we've just consolidated our range. And because we do have a fantastic range being with our Taubmans water-based enamel, I think you'll find that that's going to be certainly fit for purpose for your doors and trims. So, and I can show you, as I've just been talking about products here, okay, so we do have our doors and trims, which I will come on the screen again, just pop myself up in the corner. So our Taubmans, if we go back to our www.taubmans.com.au, and so where we say products, let's have a look at our doors and trims paints. So our water-based, Taubmans water-based enamel, which I'm going to click on, that in our semi-gloss and gloss finish comes in a neutral, as we've just got a question about that. But this is the product that I would certainly recommend using for your front door. It's going to certainly do everything it needs to do for you. It's a fantastic product and it's going to give you that beautiful finish. So that's what we've been talking about for front doors. Now the other thing I think that's really important is when we are talking about, I might just come back on the screen. When we are talking about painting the exterior of the home, sorry, I've got a lot of questions coming through and I'm just checking to see if there's anything. I might just leave that. Okay, so when we are talking about, when we are talking about painting the exterior of your home and talking about using colour, it's really important, and I talk about this a lot, so something to consider, to create a beautiful looking, aesthetically pleasing environment. And whether it be interior or exterior, it's really important how and where you place colours and how much colour that you use. So for example, what's always served me really well when helping people with their colour suggestions and colour schemes for exterior is to primarily use 3, sometimes 4 colours. I think it creates a very cohesive design, and that's what we're all about. You're wanting to be the envy of everybody in the street when they look at your house. And so it's really easy to do. So if you are going to paint the exterior of your home, and you're certainly looking at doing something like this over the Christmas period when everybody goes on holidays, and you know, hoping that we have some fantastic weather, have a look at what you've already got going on. So it's important to see what already exists within the environment. And if you're not going to paint things like your roof or window frames or anything like that, just consider the tones of those and try and find an exterior colour that's tonally correct and that's going to work really well with that. If you are looking to perhaps build and then obviously selecting the exterior colours, think about first of all what colour roof you want, whether you want a light roof or a dark roof colour, and from that build upon that. And what works really well is having your roof and your guttering, your window frames and your garage door the same colour. And so that almost equates to, if you're using the 60-30-10 rule, which is the way that we can create beautiful cohesive schemes. So 60% of the colour would be the main body of your home, 30% would be your roof, your guttering, your window frames and your garage door. So if that 30% are all the same, 60%, so one colour on the exterior of your dwelling, and then that allows for 10%, and that 10% could certainly be something that we're talking about tonight, your front door. So if you choose to go down that way, I would recommend having a look at selecting your roof colour first, because you are obviously bound. There's a smaller selection looking at your colour bond roofing choices, and then work from that. And if you're choosing neutral tones, there are many tones to work with, and we are starting to see a trend where, I know you would have heard me talk a lot about Hamptons and using those beautiful blue, grey blues, and don't get me wrong, that is still happening, but we're starting to see a trend where warmer neutral tones and that warmer coastal sort of vibe is happening. So colours that are kind of like something that springs to mind straight away, something like a Taubmans Pebble Bay, which is a beautiful, it's almost greyish. So, you know, you've heard me talk about greys that have different varying undertones, and a greyish is going into that grey realm, but it has a brown undertone. So looking at something like that is fantastic. The one thing I am going to say to you though, before you embark on your colour journey, select when you're looking at your colour. So this is really, really important for everybody about to begin some, as I keep saying, some holiday projects. If you're choosing your colours at the colour wall and you're going to be looking at them for exterior, select your colours, but then view them outside. So don't be afraid to take the colours outside and have a look, because they're certainly going to look different outside as opposed to inside. And the same for when you're selecting interior colours. So, but the next thing that I would suggest you do is get yourself a sample pot. And, you know, when you're in a paint store, certainly ask the team there whether you can have a, sorry, I'm just looking to see how many questions I have. I'll be right back. I do have some colours there that I'll help you with. When you are looking at the exterior colours, so when you're in the hardware store, ask the team members for a large piece of cardboard. So these are like the palette liners that come in the delivery, the paint delivery, and they sit between the layers of paint. So if you grab yourself one of those, and you're going to want to have a piece of cardboard at least 1 metre by 1 metre square, grab yourself a sample pot, brush out 3 coats of your sample pot. Once dry, pop it outside, move it around the exterior of your dwelling at different times of day. So at least you can see them in full sun, or you can also see them in areas that lack natural light. And you'll really be able to see how that colour is going to work, or how it's going to sit within the environment, because that's really, really important. And the other thing I also say too, so you're selecting colours for your environment, have a look at what's going on around you. So have a look at what's happening in your street, and all of the other colours that already exist within the street. Certainly check out to see whether you've got any covenants on what you can and can't do with colours within your area. That's certainly very, very important. But also take a look at, you know, if you're in a coastal environment, certainly look at the tones around you. You know, those beautiful sandy, sort of grey sandy tones, certainly beautiful deep sea blues with that sort of green undertone, sea foam colours indicative obviously of what's going on out there in the ocean, if you like, and some beautiful, beautiful soft sky blues work extremely well within that sort of environment. If you are more into a, let's say, more of a rural setting, something to really be considerate about, or to consider, and I've been, we've talked about this before, and I've certainly had a lot of people bring this up. Perhaps you're out in a rural setting and painting your house white, make sure it's got quite a bit of undertone, so that it can hide dirt, if you like, especially in dry, dusty areas. I think it's really, really important, and especially in areas where you might have a lot of red dirt. So consider that as well. If you're in a beautiful sort of bush setting, have a look at what's going on around, you know, having a look at the beautiful greens and sort of drawing on nature, if you like, and what's going on, the beautiful greens, the soft sort of oak tones, etc., to create a colour scheme where your house is going to sit and fit really well into the environment. So there's a few tips there to sort of help you. And I guess the other thing as well, which I think I really want to touch on, is when you're looking to paint, and I've talked about the 60-30-10 rule and using generally, you know, 3 if not 4 colours. And some houses that have, you know, a lot of different substrates to create the home. You don't necessarily need to paint every different substrate a completely different colour. You can use a monochromatic colour scheme, so finding a colour that you like and then diluting the colour down or intensifying the colour. That's certainly one way. Or the other thing is, just because there are a lot of different substrates, you can still paint all of those substrates the one colour. So there's a few tips and a few things there to consider. Now I'm just going to have a look here. I've heard my computer going crazy just to see if there are any questions that I can answer. Okay, what do we have here? Okie dokie, what do I have? Okay, so hi Beck, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry, I'm just reading and thinking at the same time. So we are mixing timber external doors with aluminium doors, and both will be white. While the white ones will be pearl white, I'm trying to find a colour to paint the timber doors to match. Any ideas? So that pearl white that's got that slight metallic fleck. I'm thinking that, right, and immediately I'm thinking of something like Taubmans Miss Universe. I think that could be certainly well worth a look because it is a cleaner, brighter white with a soft, almost a slight, if I were to say blue undertone. It's just that it's that cleaner white, and I know it's going to work very well with sort of a pearl white. The other colour that you certainly could look at as well would be Taubmans Crisp White. I think something like that would be the first two colours to look at. I've just got my trusty fan deck here, as you can see. Okay, so, and I mean, Brilliant White's another one that you could have a look at. I don't know, I tend to think that Miss Universe is probably going to be a little bit more, well, dare I say, closer to what you're wanting. So I would have a look at those colours first to begin with. And you can certainly find those colours if you hop onto, as I've been saying tonight, www.taubmans.com.au, and in the drop down menu where it says colours, select on paint colours, it will bring it up, and then you can hop into the search function and you can search for all of the colours. So that gives you somewhere to start. I hope that helps. If not, if you need any further information, please pop something else into the feed and I'll be very happy to answer something else for you. What else do we have here? Okay. Okay, so Natasha, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just sifting through. What are the numbers telling me when I look up the colours on the website? So there are a few. Okay, so I guess that's a very good question. So each colour, if you like, so for example, when you look at a colour, and it's probably a really good thing for me to bring up my website here, and then I can explain. Right, let's just go. Let's hopefully, all right, we're there. Okay, so you can see on my screen here, and I'm looking basically at the first colour that comes up, which is grey ember. So T121A12. So that is the colour code, if you like. So if you were specifying a colour, or you're telling your painter or something, this is the colour that you want, it's really important to always give the code, because a lot of colour names, I guess you could say, are replicated across varying paint brands. So always use the colour code that is applicable to the colour name. That's number one. Okay, if we go into where it says view colour details, so you've got the reference, which is, as I just said to you, the colour code. Then you've got the RGB, which is the red, green and blue. So for me, when I'm drawing up an interior or an exterior and I am popping some colours into, say, Google SketchUp or SketchUp, something like that, these are the colour reference numbers there, so the RGB, that I use to pop into my computer package, which then helps me to replicate that colour in my computer package. Instead of just selecting some pre-colours that are already uploaded, I get to create an exact, if you like. So that's what that is for. And then you've got your LRV, which you've heard me talking about tonight, which is the light reflectance value. So from, I guess you could say from 0 to 100, 100 being the lightest, and then going down to 0, which is very dark or black, if you like. So that's how the color codes work, or that's what the numbers associated with each color mean. So I hope that helps explain it. If not, please pop something else into the feed and I'll certainly be very happy to answer any further questions. So I'll just bring myself back up on screen. It looks like we have just about concluded tonight's session. I will be behind the scenes for the next half an hour or so to answer any further questions, and certainly sift through some of the questions that I have there to respond to. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody for joining our session tonight. Next week we will be back, same time, same place for our very last session for the year. So it will all be about, frequently asked questions. So if you do have any questions or anything that you would like to know about before you embark on your paint project over the holidays, use it as an opportune time to ask. So certainly come back and join us. But in the meantime, certainly feel free to send us any messages or questions, obviously on the feed at the moment, but certainly via direct message later on. So again, thank you very much for joining our session. It's been fantastic having you with us. As I always say, stay safe, have a great week, and as always, happy painting. Thanks. Good night.